Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to Kucoin as episode 21, and today we are going to go over a detailed Bitcoin analysis. As usual, if you don't know about Kucoin, it's one of the largest crypto exchanges in the world with over 700 billion traded volume on the platform and 10 million registered users from more than 200 different countries. Kucoin has many features like margin trading, spot trading, trading bot, mining pool, staking, lending, and many more with over 700 listed coins. If you don't have an account yet, I'll make sure to attach my referral link description below. And if you create an account through it, you'll benefit from 20% discounts on your trading fees. So let's get started. And as usual, cheers. Bitcoin is still sitting around the 18K, 20K support, which is in fact the previous all-time high from 2018. And it's also a demand zone as we had an aggressive movement up from here. The reason why it's a demand zone is because inside this big bullish movement, full of big bullish candles, that's the only area where we had a consolidation or even bearish candles. So it's a rally, base, and then rally. That's why it's a demand zone. And price is currently retesting it. So we'll be looking for setups, knowing that price can still break it downward, just like what happened previously around the 50K, the 40K, 30K, and so on. So we don't want a big bearish candle closing below the zone, just like here, here, and here as well, previously breaking below the 28K. So if we have a very similar big bearish candle breaking below this area, in this case, we'll be expecting one more bearish impulse movement downward. This is why I'm calling it an impulse movement downward, is because we are clearly overall bearish. We've got our first impulse, correction, second impulse, and we are currently here in the second correction movement. If we break this one downward, we'll be expecting another big bearish impulse still where to the 10, 12K support, because it's a resistance previously broken upward, and it's also a demand zone because this is where the big bullish movement previously started. So that's a demand, and that's also a demand because we had a consolidation here. So long story short, for now, we'll be looking for bust stops from a short-term perspective, expecting this movement unless we break it downward. We'll see it better from lower time frames. And for the boost to take over from a long-term perspective, we have two possible scenarios. The first one is if we break above three things. The first one is the last high. The second one is the trend line. And last but not least, the resistance. So that's where we have an entire shift in momentum from bearish to bullish. So in this case, if we see this breakup of the 30K, we can say that yes, now the bulls are taking over from a long-term perspective, and we'll be expecting a big bullish movements, big impulse movements, pushing higher, and then a correction, and then an impulse, correction, and so on. But let's take it step by step, right? If the bears break below this area, in this case, we'll be expecting this bearish movement. And if we have a new swing high formed here, in this case, this would become our last high, which is now here. And this will become our next resistance. So we'll need this break above the 20K for the bulls to take over and rotate higher. But anyway, let's take it step by step, right? Around the support, so let's zoom into lower time frames. If we zoom into H4 time frame, we can clearly see it that we are currently also overall bearish from a short-term or medium-term perspective, especially after breaking below this low. We had our impulse, correction, impulse, and we are currently in this small correction phase in the shape of a symmetrical triangle. So if we break below this little area, it would mean we are going to dive inside the 18K. That's why I'm calling it the bears remain in control, because they are already in control. So from lower time frames, if we break below it, we'll be expecting further movement now, but it would be from a medium-term perspective. For the boost to take over from a long-term perspective, we need to see, as mentioned, from daily and weekly, a big candle close below the 18K. That's why I don't know if you can see it. I have my alert right here. So if we break it downward, we'll be expecting further movement downward to this area. Meanwhile, it would be just a short-term bearish movement. And for the boost to take over, from a short-term perspective, we need to see a break above this high, and I made it higher to cover these previous lows from this big bearish trend. So we might trade higher, but we would be still bearish. It could be just an overextended correction, just like here, impulse, correction, and we might still trade lower from here because we also have a supply zone as we had an aggressive movement down from it. So for the boost to take over here, from a medium-term perspective, we still need to see a break above the last major high, resulting in a lower low, which is currently here. Now, if we trade lower, if the bears take over here and we trade lower, this would become our last major high. So if we do like this, in this case, I'll delete this one, and this would become our last high. So if we break it higher, we'll be expecting now a bullish movement. Okay, so I know that we've got many possible scenarios, but I always like to explain it in a detailed manner so you know what to expect from a short-term time frame and from a long-term view. So that's basically it for Bitcoin. Let's see which way we are going to break short-term or next medium-term and long-term bearish movement. So we've got two areas and two areas up and down. Best of luck, and I'll see you on the next one.